Have you ever said yes when every part of you screamed no? Maybe you accepted more work, stayed quiet when you should have spoken, or gave someone another chance even though you knew they didn't deserve it. We live in a world that celebrates being agreeable, where yes is seen as cooperation, opportunity, kindness. But history, and one of its most misunderstood thinkers, Niccolò Machiavelli, might disagree, because sometimes the most powerful word in your vocabulary isn't yes, it's no. Machiavelli was a 16th century diplomat from Florence who lived during a time of political chaos, betrayals, invasions, and endless shifts in power. When his political allies fell, he was imprisoned and tortured afterward. He wrote The Prince not as a manifesto for evil, but as a manual for survival in a world where morality rarely protects you. People later called him manipulative, ruthless, even the devil's secretary. But if you read him carefully, you'll find a message that goes beyond politics. He who does not value himself cannot command respect from others, and that's where the idea of saying no begins. Modern culture teaches us to please, to say yes to the job, yes to the favor, yes to the expectation. We're told that being flexible and agreeable makes us good people. But Machiavelli saw it differently. In his view, the world rewards strength, not compliance. A prince or any person who constantly says yes loses credibility. Every yes without conviction dilutes your power. People stop taking your boundaries seriously. Machiavelli might say, if you want to be respected, your yes must mean yes, and your no must be absolute. In relationships, in work, in life, the more you overextend, the more invisible you become. Saying no isn't rejection, it's selection. It's how you define what matters to you. It's the invisible line between self-respect and self-betrayal. Machiavelli would argue that a ruler's first responsibility is to himself, to his principles and his goals. Not out of selfishness, but because without clarity, you can't lead not even your own life. A man who wishes to be good in all matters must come to ruin among so many who are not so. Translation: if you always act out of pure goodness in a world that isn't, you'll be used. Saying no is not cruelty. It's a shield against manipulation, exploitation, and burnout. Let's reimagine Machiavelli today. He wouldn't be sitting in a castle, he'd be in a boardroom, a startup, maybe scrolling through social media. He'd notice that in 2025, power isn't taken, it's given away. Given away through attention, through approval, through the need to belong. And he'd probably tell us this: every time you say yes just to be liked, you trade a piece of your authority. In the age of constant notifications, likes, and validation, no has become rebellion. When you say no, you break the pattern. You create space for your own goals, your own values, your own silence. Machiavelli would call that strategic self-control, the art of not giving your energy to things that don't serve your purpose. Think of any powerful figure, real or fictional, who commands respect. They all share one trait: selectivity. Marcus Aurelius said no to luxury to maintain his discipline. Steve Jobs said no to hundreds of ideas to build just a few great ones. Rosa Parks said no to injustice, and that single refusal changed history. Machiavelli would nod in approval, because to him, the greatest form of influence is self-mastery, the ability to choose your response, rather than be driven by fear or guilt. And the irony: the world admires those who say no, even when it pretends to punish them for it. If you've ever felt drained, invisible, or taken for granted, it's probably because you've said yes too often. Saying yes to what doesn't matter leaves no room for what does. You become overcommitted, underappreciated, and emotionally bankrupt. Machiavelli wrote that men are quick to forget benefits but slow to forget injuries. In other words, people forget your favors faster than they forget your refusals. So why sacrifice your peace for temporary approval? The truth is, yes buys comfort, but no builds character. No is lonely, uncomfortable, sometimes even painful, but it's the only word that makes your yes meaningful. So how do we say no without becoming ruthless? Start by defining your principles. Know what matters, everything else becomes easier to refuse. Pause before answering. Power lives in silence. Delay your yes until you're sure. Be clear, not cruel. No doesn't need to justify itself. The quieter it is, the stronger it becomes. And protect your energy as a resource. Every yes spends a coin of your focus, your time, your emotional power. Use them wisely. Machiavelli lived centuries ago, but his message is timeless. In a world that will always ask for more, the strongest act of self-love is refusal. So next time you're about to say yes just to avoid conflict, ask yourself, is this yes aligned with who I want to be? Because when you start saying no to what weakens you, you start saying yes to your own worth. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli once wrote, but perhaps today, it's better to be respected than exhausted. And that respect starts with one word: no.